morning. It is 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett here on this Thursday morning. Hard to believe it's already Thursday, but it is July 11th, 7-Eleven. You know, that's the free slushy day. As far as I know, it's 7-Eleven. I think it's a small, but, you know, if you got to get gas or go in there today, don't forget about that free slushy because it will certainly be hot enough for a slushy today. And we have some great news coming up this morning. We've got a new cruise ship rolling in right now at Port Canaveral, one of the largest in the world, 40 restaurants on board this ship. There she blows. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Utopia of the Seas. It's going to be doing 3 and 4 day cruises out of Port Canaveral, 40 restaurants, 5 swimming pools. There's no way to even do 40 restaurants in 3 or 4 days on a cruise ship. So I think that if I go, I'm going to be a stowaway, if and when I get to go. But it is coming in right now as we speak. This is video that we just got in from Port Canaveral, from our Port Cam out there, the Launch Credit Union Port Cam at Port Canaveral. And so it's exciting. Another big addition to Port Canaveral. So we'll talk about that. Today we have a live interview with Dr. Baucom. July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've talked so much about mental health care, mental health awareness issues here on Breakfast with Bridgett, something we're passionate about. And so we'll look at it from the standpoint of this Awareness Month in July and for people of color and what it means for them as far as mental health in our country. So we'll look at that in a minute with Dr. Baucom. But first, we want to get a check of your weather. Of course, the heat has been a big story. The rain chances really in that forecast this week. And meteorologist Michelle Morgan's in for Candace this morning, hanging out with us. Good morning, Michelle.
I don't know how to turn this on. Hello?
Hey, Michelle.
I'm having technical difficulties back here, but I think I got it, and I don't know why my chair is so low. Oh, yes.
You're so funny.
Here comes Trooper Steve to the rescue. Thank you, because I don't know how to do it. Oh, thank you, good sir.
You're very welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Steve.
How are you today?
I am fine, Miss Ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Have you seen my clicker, Steve?
You know what? Let me get that for you too. Okay.
I'm sorry about that, folks. We're getting there.
We're streaming live. It's what it is. You know, I'm really interested in this system we talked about this morning, Michelle. That the Hurricane Center and you guys are watching off the coast, and it's not a hurricane or anything, but it's some significant moisture out there. I wonder if that's what caused the cruise ship to be a little delayed here because it just pulled up.
You know what? Probably because, it is not only increasing the moisture across the area, we're looking at somewhat of a rough surf along the coast. There isn't a rip current risk or a high rip current risk in place, but I have been looking at a few cameras across Central Florida, like Daytona Beach, also Mount Dora, and the water looks pretty rough because the winds are kicking up with those stronger thunderstorms. So it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, they were supposed to be here at 7, and we were hoping to show it during the morning news, and then we just, we took a look before the end of the show, and there's nothing out there, but, we just got the video in right before we came on here at 7:30, so long as
you just want to get on
there, get there safely. Yes,
you just want to get on. Yes, it does look really nice, right? It does look really nice. But I do want to show the radar here. I am tracking some scattered rain moving across Central Florida and a few embedded thunderstorms, seeing a few lightning strikes, some heavy rain. But the good news is that things are moving. So localized flooding, unlikely because we're not really seeing that training where that heavy rain is just sitting over an area. So we'll see the first round through the early morning. We get a break around lunch, and then the moisture continuing to filter in, and that's going to ramp up our rain chances again as we head into tonight and also this afternoon heading into tonight. Now, zooming into Sumter County and Lake County, tracking heavy rain mainly south of Webster and also Claremont, seeing that rain continuing to move south of you, heading towards Mascot, looking at decent downpours over Sanford, Altamont Springs, and temperatures are starting off pretty warm and mild. We're in the lower 80s and upper 70s across Central Florida. Now, as we head into the afternoon hours, we're looking at low rain chances through the morning and then elevated around 50-60% in a few locations, along our coast around 70%, because that's where that area we're watching that disturbance that's going to continue to filter in, all that moisture. So because of the rain and also the clouds, it's going to keep our temperatures below average today in the upper 80s. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to a little bit of relief from the sweltering heat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yesterday was nice because we had some rain. It cooled things down a little bit. I took my son out to the playground and I wasn't dying outside. And, that was really nice. So I think today we'll do that again. And look at the forecast highs. Many of us climbing into the upper 80s. We're looking at 90 in Ocala as well as Leesburg. But nonetheless, we'll still be comfortable somewhat as we go through today. So here's future radar. We'll continue to see scattered rain through the morning, and the rain should be wrapping up closer to lunch around 12, 1 o'clock. Plenty of clouds around with a few peaks of sunshine. And then as we head into the 3-4 o'clock hour, a few isolated showers are possible across the metro area. But look at this. We also get the sea breezes going and also the heat, and then scattered heavy rain possible in Osceola County, portions of Orange County, heading towards Brevard County, and then we're looking much drier as we head into the overnight. Now, real quick, I do want to talk about, what's going on in the tropics. We only have one spot that we're watching at the moment. National Hurricane Center has placed a 10% chance for tropical development in the next 2 to 7 days. And, regardless of development, it's going to continue to filter in that moisture across the peninsula today. And you can see it right there. It's trying to get its act together, but it's not only fighting wind shear, that's the upper level winds, it's also fighting Saharan dust, which is across the entire state. So yesterday, I live in Claremont. I saw like a bit of a haze. Like,
oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw it too. And it's just that Saharan dust that's over the area. So we always say, it's recommended folks that have respiratory issues, those sensitive groups, to try to limit yourself outdoors, because with the dust, the small particles, the particulates, that can irritate you. So it looks like it's going to hang around for a little bit. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast, and because of the Saharan dust, we're looking at a moderate air quality today. And then again, temperatures in the upper 80s, and then we're in the 90s tomorrow, and even hotter as we head into the weekend with, steady rain chances around 50-60%.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. I noticed the skyline looked a little milky yesterday when I had to head out, and it's noticeable. So
it is.
People see that, they might think it's a fire or something nearby, but it's that dust. So
yeah, it certainly looks like smoke or fire, but yeah, it's that dust from Africa.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye. And we do want to get a check of your traffic. Trooper Steve is right over there getting results as always.
Hold on. All right, there we go.
There we go.
She's killing me today. Killing me, making me work. I tell you what, my goodness. That cruise ship was gorgeous coming in. I was watching when you were talking about that as it was cruising in. That thing is wide. It is clean.
But 40 restaurants, Steve, and only a 4-day cruise. You and I both know.
Bridgett, we could do it. You and me. We could do it.
I don't know. You'd have to wheel me
so
off
we could
of
do we could do 2 weeks of just working out, and then you and I get on that Royal and just tear it up.
But 40?
Okay, but then we can go back a second week.
It's gonna take more than one cruise. I don't have that much room in my tummy.
Right. Amen. I've gone on a few carnival ones, and tear up Guy's Burger Spot, and then get me a little ice cream, and that's all I'm good for.
They have a few machines sort of scattered.
Just strategically located.
You can't walk by it and not get an ice cream.
You got to. It's like paying the toll. It's like, all right, thanks, I'll get my ice cream.
Yes.
So today is going to be pretty basic. We're going to be hitting the road. 8:30 here in just a few minutes, talking about, some people think that you can make a U-turn at a red light and that it's okay. I'm really confused who started this. I'm confused where this came from. So we're going to spend 25 minutes of me telling you, no, you can't do it. Today, clickorlando.com at 3:30. Take it nice and easy. And so join me over at clickorlando.com. You guys are killing me with some of this stuff, but
I think it's the worse the traffic gets and the worse the light patterns get. People are just really losing it.
They're trying to do creative driving, and it's like, well, I just figured since traffic was backed up, and it's like, no.
Well, and I had to have a chat about defensive driving the other day, and sometimes it's about, is it about being right or being safe? And in those moments when you're driving out there, sometimes you have to make those decisions, because someone may not be doing what's right, and then you need to do what you need to do to stay safe,
Right, 100%. So
speaking of to yield or distracted driving or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of safety on the roadways, we're not doing the best out there. We've got 2 crashes that people need to pay attention to. This first one is south of the airport, and the delays haven't gone anywhere since the start of the morning show. So this is at Boggy Creek Road and Airport Park Drive, north of Weatherby, south of Tradeport, in that industrial portion of the airport. So if you're getting ready to head out the road, please understand it was shut down a little while ago. It is back open, but there are crews out there. I'm also watching this southbound in Brevard County along I-95 at the 219, Garden Street, State Road 406. Your ramp has quite the scene on it. It looks like a lot of construction. You have an overturned semi there on its side. Road rangers, crews, state troopers out there trying to clean this up as much as possible. Surprisingly, not causing any problems on the main line or on your ramp, so you are good to go out there. But again, 220-mile marker on the ramp, so be careful. Eastbound I-4, not bad, not great. 32 minutes, Kissimmee to downtown, Champions Gate to downtown Orlando, State Road 408. You can see that delay. We talk about this almost every day. As it passes 429, you'll thin up, and then it will get back on the brakes again right there at 535. Brevard County, out by the Cape Canaveral. Man, if you're going out on this cruise ship, you are one lucky person, and Bridget and I are very jealous at the moment. So outside of that, Bridget, things look good. Weather's iffy out there, so if you're driving around, headlights on, please, manually when that rain starts falling. The good rule of thumb is if you have to use your wipers, you need to turn on your headlights.
For sure. All righty. Well, thank you, Trooper Steve.
See ya.
All right, see ya. A little bit of news to get to, and then we have our live interview with Dr. Baucom coming up. We have this story on this morning. Our Treasurer Roberts has more on the details of a dog that's missing from a local business. The business owner is thinking it might be some sort of misunderstanding, but he's hoping that he can bring his dog Sawyer home soon. So let's take a look.
They say dog is man's best friend. But this dog is more like family.
I have 2 daughters, and they're just devastated.
This is Sawyer, affectionately known as Soy Soy, and often confused with a sheep.
He was crazy, he was fluffy, like a big teddy bear.
Madison Ellis and her dad, Towns, who owns Towns Garden Center in Winter Park, last saw the doggo a few weeks ago before he was taken.
You're out here, you're preparing to open a new nursery here in Sanford, but you never thought you'd be putting missing dog signs for your own dog up on your building.
Yeah. We're focused on making marketing materials for the business. Meanwhile, that all has been halted, and we're putting together, missing dog pictures.
On the road to opening his second nursery location, Towns spends lots of time at this building, and so does Sawyer.
His favorite thing is to ride in the van and to come to Sanford.
A few weeks ago, Towns stepped out for an early dinner, leaving Sawyer here in this air-conditioned space. When he came back later that evening, the pupper was gone, along with his leash. Unbeknownst to him, Sanford police came to the building for a distress call while he was away.
From the window, you can obviously see there's multiple water and food bowls.
Police cleared the call, but that didn't stop someone from taking matters into their own hands.
It's not unusual for Sawyer to be looking out the window, whether he sees a squirrel running up the tree or someone like me walking down the sidewalk.
And that's what he does here. He watches what's going on.
But Towns says someone may have confused that with distress.
Maybe they made an assumption that, he was locked up in here, he's abandoned.
It's been 2 weeks, though. Towns has looked high and low, and police are even following leads. The family's biggest plea to whoever you may be:
turn the dog in. We just want to bring Sawyer home.
In Sanford, Treasurer Roberts, getting results, News 6.
And we want to get to new details. A break in this case we've been covering since the 4th of July. A 13-year-old girl in Orange County died, and she was found hurt at an apartment complex, unresponsive, on July 4th, and died at the hospital. And now a video has been released by investigators of a person of interest, and they want people to take a look and help them find this man.
After a week filled with questions surrounding the killing of a 13-year-old girl, Orange County deputies believe the man in this surveillance video could hold the key to what happened. He's seen wearing a t-shirt and pants and carrying a bag while walking through an apartment complex in the 4400 block of South Rio Grande Avenue in Orlando. Investigators are calling the man a person of interest in the murder of 13-year-old Rose DeJuste, who was a student at Memorial Middle School. News 6's Troy Campbell showed the crime bulletin to people in the area last night.
Have you seen this person before around here?
No, I've never seen him before.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office says the teen was found with obvious signs of trauma on the afternoon of July 4th, but they're not releasing any details about how she was killed. Deputies telling us any more detailed information can hurt the investigation, which is still in its early stages.
And so we'll keep you posted on any updates with those two stories, of course, hoping for some breaks in those cases. Now we want to get to Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. This is July, and it is designated as such. And there are so many awareness topics we like to get to. And so today we have Dr. Trishonda Baucom with us once again. And it's good to see you, Dr. Baucom. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning. Good to see you as well.
You too. You know, last time we talked about children, and today is about minority mental health, which has been a topic that there's been a big push in recent years to just build more awareness around mental health in general, but there's a great disparity when it comes to people of color.
Absolutely. I know we just celebrated Mental Health Awareness Month in the month of May, but there are some specific challenges that are unique to minority groups that we want to bring awareness to the month of July.
And what are some of those disparities? Why is this month needed, or why is this extra awareness needed?
Yeah, so research shows that 1 in 4 Americans will experience mental health disorder within their lifetime, but there's a significant statistical gap between white Americans or minority Americans when it comes to that research. Minority groups, although we experience mental health issues such as depression, stress, anxiety, trauma, we're less likely to receive a proper diagnosis, less likely to receive care, less likely to receive a referral, which then results in us having persistent untreated mental health conditions increase the longevity of these affecting our life.
And so is part of that, when you say less likely, is part of that the stigma and maybe people's hesitancy to disclose maybe issues they might be having, or just that lack of awareness that this is not normal and that you can feel better?
Absolutely. Both of those are. So we have the lack of knowing, which is why we want to increase awareness to what some of these struggles are, how they may show up in your life, and that there are options and what those options are. But we also have access to care, right? So being able to financially afford and being able to find a cultural competent provider. So some of those are the barriers into receiving mental health care.
Mm-hmm. And what about those disparities in terms of why people of color might be more likely to experience some mental health issues?
Yeah, so I think sometimes within some of the minority groups, there is a stigma on receiving help. Sometimes we don't talk about those issues. We definitely don't go outside of our circle to bring up those issues. And for some, it just doesn't want to have yet another deficit that's leading with that group as well.
Mm-hmm. And some of the things that happen culturally can put us more at risk. Is that right?
Absolutely. We have historical trauma that can play into our stress and trauma. We have, you name it, it can affect us. But sometimes we don't know and how it's affecting us or how long it's been present. It's just been our norm to just keep going and surviving, that we don't know how it's affecting us physically, emotionally, spiritually. And some of these are tied into chronic health conditions as well that we're more prevalent to as well.
And so when it comes to sort of trying to close these gaps or lower these disparities, what's really needed?
Yeah, so we want to increase access to care. We want to increase our culturally competent providers. We want to provide accurate training so that when minorities do come out and receive help, they're not misdiagnosed. We want to eliminate some of the barriers. We want to increase our literature and information on what these conditions are, and really involve the community supports as well.
And there's always different things coming out with different studies that are being done. What are some of the findings recently that you've been, interested in or surprised by or encouraged by as, more information is released about different conditions and the root causes or links to other things?
Yeah, I'm a brain geek, so I like following neuropsych, and so one of that they're really focusing in on is trauma, and a lot of the research is now showing that trauma actually starts in the womb. Right. So we think about sometimes if we're carrying trauma from womb and then you go through birth and all your childhood years, that trauma just doesn't go away and leave. You carry this into adult life. So I'm a big advocate on starting early, and not sometimes you'll hear with minority groups like, oh, they're too young. They have it better than me. Like and I'm like, oh, it actually started with you in the room. Like it's all linked together. And so that's why sometimes the historical trauma is kind of eye opening on how roots of traumatic experiences over time and history towards minority groups also affect them individually.
Because they've found links in actual changes to DNA and even in anyone's background, whether it be, no matter your ethnic background, but trauma changes your brain.
It does. It does. And it can also lead to increased physical health, like medical health issues too. So sometimes we only focus on the medical side and we ignore the mental health components of it as well.
And that's one of those things that it used to be a little woo woo to kind of make those connections, but they're proving more and more that mind body connection is real. And so that those
Yes.
some symptoms, physical symptoms, show up beyond the mental health issue.
Yes, absolutely. And it is fascinating to watch and to see the increased literature on the linkage of all of those components interacting together as well.
And so, what about yourself? As a minority mental health care provider, there's not as many of you out there. So what is that like in terms of trying to meet demand and trying to get more doctors into the workforce to help people?
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I've seen a lot of collection of minority groups trying to merge together so that we're all working together. I've actually seen a lot of organizations offered free training for minority groups to expand the access and the cultural competency. So that has been nice to see as well. But the demand is out there, and I could say that I've seen an increase in minority groups reaching out for help. And that may be because I have a practice of Hispanic, Asian, African American, and so there's still some groups I represent within my own practice. But again, trying to have the resources, the training to support the demanding needs.
And a lot of times people can, if you dig, you can find someone with a similar background or maybe faith beliefs that can line up with what you need in a counseling service.
Absolutely. One of the recommended website is afsp.org, and they actually break down minority mental health resources by different minority groups. And so that's an awesome resource to look at because you'll see like resources for Native Americans, Asian Americans, African Americans, LGBTQI, and so it breaks it down and has a list of resources per minority group.
And that helps build comfort and sort of break down the stigma so that a person might maybe feel a little more comfortable to open up or maybe talk about things that they may feel more comfortable that person might understand per se.
Yes, and that's a lot of it. We want to not ourselves and just to have someone who can understand some of the similarities between upbringing or language, and that can also help in not being misdiagnosed for something that's just part of that cultural group.
Right, right. Okay, and I think too people sometimes are concerned about therapy versus medication and things like that too, and that's not always necessary to take a medication.
Absolutely. There's so many different treatment options. Research does show for some of our mental health disorders that a combination of medication and mental health treatment are the best approach. However, it's not required, and your clinician can also explore with you some alternatives as well.
Awesome information. Well, Dr. Bockham from Enriched Life Counseling and Consulting, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Before we go, don't forget about the New 6 Insider Beach Swag Bag Contest. We're giving out some really nice goodies, a beautiful beach bag and towel, and some other nice things. So get onto the website for Insider, register for your chance to win that. Really easy, quick to do, and free as always. But we're going to go for now. Weather-wise with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas is up next, followed by Trooper Steve on patrol. I'll see you for News 6 at noon. Take care.